All right, picture yourself cruising down some streets in Virginia Beach in a golf cart. It could happen.
Yeah, we told you about a similar proposal that just passed Norfolk City Council. Now Virginia Beach Council members are set to debate an ordinance that would allow the golf carts on certain neighborhood roads.
13 News Now reporter Evan Watson explains the plan.
Walking down Lee Avenue in Chicks Beach, I can turn and look down Ocean View Avenue. And these roads could be golf cart friendly if City Council elects to change an ordinance tonight.
Everybody wants to get to the beach, and that means parking is at a premium. So when you live by the beach, you're trying to avoid the hassle.
I'm like,
Alan Laside asked his wife what she thinks.
She likes the idea of the golf cart thing for sure. That she was ready to go down and vote if it needed her signature somewhere. But
tonight, Virginia Beach City Council will vote whether or not to make these neighborhood streets golf cart friendly. The Chicks Beach neighborhood east of Northampton Boulevard is one of two up for approval.
because everybody needs to drive slower around here anyway, you know, so I don't think it'll be a problem.
Ronald Gilman works outside, so he sees people driving in the neighborhood all the time. He's all for it.
And I think it is another way of getting around the community and enjoying the people that are in your neighborhood.
There's some concern about parents sending their child off on the golf cart.
Some little fellow that can't read yet, that bothers me a lot.
But with adults driving, he thinks it's great.
With proper supervision, I think it's a wonderful idea. It gives people a chance to get out of the house, get away from computers.
And plus, if someone's feeling generous, he'll gladly volunteer to be one of the first legal drivers.
If anybody's got a free one, I'll take it, for sure.
The Asheville Park area is also set for a vote on golf cart approval at tonight's meeting. In Virginia Beach, Evan Watson, 13 News Now.